Welcome to a day in the Word. Today's reading is 1 Samuel chapter 17 through 1 Samuel chapter 19. 1 Samuel chapter 17. The Philistines gathered their armies together for war. They met at Soko in Judah. Their camp was between Soko and Azekah at a town called Ephes Damim. Saul and the Israelites soldiers also gathered together. Their camp was in the valley of Elah. Saul's soldiers were lined up and ready to fight the Philistines. The Philistines were on one hill, the Israelites were on the other hill, the valley between them. The Philistines had a champion fighter named Goliath, who was from Gath. He was over 9 feet tall. Goliath came out of the Philistine camp. He had a bronze helmet on his head. He wore a coat of armor that was made like the scales on a fish. This armor was made of bronze and weighed about 125 pounds. Goliath wore bronze protectors on his legs. He had a bronze javelin tied on his back. The wooden part of his spear was as big as a weaver's rod. The spear's blade weighed 15 pounds. Goliath's helper walked in front of him, carrying Goliath's shield. Each day Goliath would come out and shout a challenge to the Israelite soldiers. He would say, "Why are all of your soldiers lined up ready for battle? You are Saul's servants. I am a Philistine. So choose one man and send him to fight me. If that man kills me, he wins, and we Philistines will become your slaves. But if I kill your man, then I win, and you will become our slaves. You will have to serve us." The Philistines also said, "Today I stand and make fun of the army of Israel. I dare you to send me one of your men and let us fight." Saul and the Israelite soldiers heard what Goliath said, and they were very afraid. David was a son of Jesse. Jesse was from the Ephrathah family in Bethlehem, Judah. Jesse had 8 sons. In Saul's time, Jesse was an old man. Jesse's three oldest sons went with Saul to the war. The first son was Eliab, the second son was Abinadab, and the third was Shammah. David was the youngest son. The 3 oldest sons were in Saul's army, but David left Saul from time to take care of his father's sheep at Bethlehem. The Philistine came out every morning and evening and stood before the Israelite army. Goliath insulted Israel like this for 40 days. One day Jesse said to his son David, "Take this basket of cooked grain and these 10 loaves of bread to your brothers in the camp. Also take these 10 pieces of cheese for the officer who commands your brothers' group of 1,000 soldiers. See how your brothers are doing. Bring back something to show me your brothers are all right. Your brothers are with Saul and all the Israelite soldiers in the valley of Elah. They are there to fight against the Philistines." Early in the morning, David had another shepherd take care of the sheep while he took the food and left as Jesse had told him to. David drove their wagon to the camp. The soldiers were going out to their battle positions just as David arrived. The soldiers began shouting their war cry. The Israelites and Philistines were lined up and ready for battle. David left the food with the man who kept supplies. Then he ran to the place where the Israelite soldiers were and asked about his brothers. While David was talking with his brothers, the Philistine champion fighter came out from the Philistine army. This was Goliath, the Philistine from Gath. Goliath shouted things against Israel as usual. David heard what he said. The Israelite soldiers saw Goliath and ran away. They were all afraid of him. One of the Israelite men said, "Did you see that man? Look at him. He comes out each day and makes fun of Israel. Whoever kills him will get rich. King Saul will give him a lot of money. Saul will also let his daughter marry the man who kills Goliath. He will also make that man's family free from taxes in Israel." David asked the men standing near him, "What did he say? What is the reward for killing this Philistine and taking away this shame from Israel? Who is this Goliath, anyway? He is only some foreigner, nothing but a Philistine. Why does he think he can speak against the army of the living God?" So the Israelite told David about the reward for killing Goliath. David's oldest brother Eliab heard David talking with the soldiers and became angry. Eliab asked David, "Why did you come here? Who did you leave those few sheep with in the desert? I know why you came down here. You didn't want to do what you were told to do. You just wanted to come down here to watch the battle." David said, "What did I do now? I didn't do anything wrong. I was only talking." He turned to some other people and asked them the same questions. They gave him the same answers as before. Some men heard David talking. They took David to Saul and told him what David had said. David said to Saul, "People shouldn't let Goliath discourage them. I am your servant. I will go fight this Philistine." Saul answered, "You can't go out and fight against this Philistine. You're not even a soldier. Goliath has been fighting in wars since he was a boy." But David said to Saul, "There were times when I was taking care of my father's sheep that wild animals came to take some sheep from the flock. Once there was a lion, and another time a bear. I chased that wild animal, attacked it, and took the sheep from its mouth. The wild animal jumped on me, but I caught it by the fur under its mouth, and I hit it and killed it. I killed both a lion and a bear like that, and I will kill that foreigner, Goliath, just like them. Goliath will die because he made fun of the army of the living God. The Lord saved me from the lion and the bear. He will also save me from this Philistine." Saul said to David, "Go, and may the Lord be with you." Saul put his own clothes on David. He put a bronze helmet on David's head and armor on his body. David put on the sword and tried to walk around. He tried to wear Saul's uniform, but David was not used to all those heavy things. David said to Saul, "I can't fight in these things. I'm not used to them." So David took them all off. He took his walking stick in his hand and went to find 5 smooth stones from the stream. He put the 5 stones in his shepherd's bag and held his sling in his hand. Then he went out to meet the Philistine. The Philistine slowly walked closer and closer to David. Goliath's helper walked in front of him carrying a large shield. Goliath looked at David with disgust. He saw that David was only a handsome, healthy boy. Goliath said to David, "What is that stick for? Did you come to chase me away like a dog?" Then Goliath used the names of his gods to say curses against David. He said to David, "Come here, and I'll feed your body to the birds and wild animals." David said to the Philistine, "You come to me using sword, spear, and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord All-Powerful, the God of the armies of Israel. You have said bad things about him. Today the Lord will let me defeat you. I will kill you. I will cut off your head and feed your body to the birds and wild animals. And we will do the same to all the other Philistines too. Then all the world will know there is a God in Israel. All the people gathered here will know that the Lord doesn't need swords or spears to save people. The battle belongs to the Lord, and he will help us defeat all of you. Goliath the Philistine started to attack David. He slowly walked closer and closer toward David, but David ran out to meet Goliath. David took out a stone from his bag. He put it in his sling and swung the sling. The stone flew from the sling and hit Goliath right between the eyes. The stone sank between stone sank deep into his head, and Goliath fell to the ground, face down. So David defeated the Philistine with only a sling and one stone. He hit the Philistine and killed him. David didn't have a sword, so he ran and stood beside the Philistine. Then David took Goliath's own sword out of its sheath and used it to cut off his head. This is how David killed the Philistine. When the other Philistines saw their hero was dead, they turned and ran. The soldiers of Israel and Judah shouted and started chasing the Philistines. The Israelites chased them all the way to the city limits of Gath and to the gates of Ekron. They killed many of the Philistines. Their bodies were scattered along the Shoraim road all the way to Gath and Ekron. After chasing the Philistines, the Israelites came back to the Philistine camp and took many things from their camp. David took the Philistines' head to Jerusalem, but he kept the Philistines' weapon at home. Saul watched David go out to fight Goliath. Saul spoke to Abner, the commander of the army. Abner, who is that young man's father? Abner answered, I swear I don't know, sir. King Saul said, find out who his father is. When David came back after killing Goliath, Abner brought him to Saul. David was still holding the Philistine's head. Saul asked him, young man, who is your father? David answered, I am the son of your servant Jesse from Bethlehem. 1 Samuel chapter 18. Saul decided to take David with him. He would not let David go back home to his father. After David finished talking with Saul, Jonathan developed a strong friendship with David. Jonathan loved David as much as himself, so they made a special agreement. Jonathan took off the coat he was wearing and gave it to David. In fact, Jonathan gave David his whole uniform, including his sword, his bow, and even his belt. David went to fight wherever Saul sent him. He was very successful, so Saul put him in charge of the soldiers. This pleased everyone, even Saul's officers. David would go out to fight against the Philistines. On the way home, after the battles, women in every town in Israel would come out to meet him. They sang and danced for joy as they played their tambourines and lyres. They did this right in front of Saul. The women sang, Saul has killed his thousands, but David has killed tens of thousands. This song upset Saul, and he became very angry. Saul thought the women gave David credit for killing tens of thousands of the enemy, and they gave me credit for only thousands. A little more of this, and they will give him the kingdom itself. So from that time on, Saul watched David very closely. The next day, an evil spirit from God took control of Saul, and he went wild in his house. David played the harp to calm him as he usually did, but Saul had a spear in his hand. He thought, I'll pin David to the wall. Saul threw the spear twice, but David jumped out of the way both times. The Lord had left Saul and was now with David. So Saul was afraid of David. Saul sent David away and made him a commander over 1,000 soldiers. This put David out among the men even more as they went into battle and returned. The Lord was with David, so he was successful in everything. Saul saw how successful David was and became even more afraid of him. But all the people in Israel and Judah loved David because he was out among them and led them into battle. One day Saul said to David, "Here is my oldest daughter, Meriab. I will let you marry her. Then you will be like a son to me, and you will be a real soldier. Then you will go and fight the Lord's battles." Saul was really thinking, now I won't have to kill David. I will let the Philistines kill him for me. But David said, I am not an important man from an important family. I can't marry the king's daughter. So when the time came for David to marry Saul's daughter, Saul let her marry Adriel from Maholah. People told Saul that his daughter Michal loved David. This made Saul happy. He thought, I will use Michal to trap David. I will let Michal marry David, and then I will let the Philistines kill him. So Saul said to David a second time, You can marry my daughter today. Saul commanded his officers to speak to David in private. He told them to say, Look, the king likes you. His officers like you. You should marry his daughter. Saul's officers said these things to David, but David answered, Do you think it is easy to become the king's son-in-law? I am just a poor, ordinary man. Saul's officers told that Saul what David said. Saul told them, Say this to David. David, the king doesn't want you to pay money for his daughter. He wants you to get even with his enemies. So the price for marrying his daughter is 100 Philistine foreskins. That was Saul's secret plan. He thought the Philistines would kill David. Saul's officers told this to David. David was happy that he had a chance to become the king's son-in-law. So immediately he and his men went out to fight the Philistines. They killed 200 Philistines. David took these Philistine foreskins and gave them to Saul. He did this because he wanted to become the king's son-in-law. Saul let David marry his daughter, Michal. He saw that the Lord was with David, and he also saw that his daughter, Michal, loved David. So Saul became even more afraid of David and was against him all that time. The Philistine commanders continued to go out to fight the Israelites, but David defeated them every time. He became famous as Saul's best officer. 1 Samuel chapter 19. Saul told his son Jonathan and his officers to kill David, but Jonathan liked David very much. So he warned him, Be careful, Saul is looking for a chance to kill you. In the morning, go into the field and hide. I will go out into the field with my father. We will stand in the field where you are hiding. I will talk to my father about you, and I will tell you what I learned. Jonathan talked to his father Saul. Jonathan said good things about David. He said, You are the king. David is your servant. David hasn't done anything wrong to you, so don't do anything wrong to him. He has always been good to you. He risked his life when he killed the Philistines. The Lord won a great victory for all Israel. You saw it and you were happy. Why do you want to hurt David? He's innocent. There is no reason to kill him. Saul listened to Jonathan and made a promise. He said, As surely as the Lord lives, David won't be put to death. So Jonathan called David and told him everything that was said. Then Jonathan brought David to Saul, and David was with Saul as before. Once again there was war with the Philistines, and David went out to fight. He defeated them badly, and they ran away. Later in Saul's house, David was playing the harp. Saul was there with his spear in his hand. Then an evil spirit from the Lord came on Saul. Saul threw his spear at David and tried to pin him to the wall. David jumped out of the way, so the spear missed him and struck in the wall and stuck in the wall. That night David ran away. Saul sent men to watch David's house. They stayed there all night. They were waiting to kill David in the morning. But David's wife Michal warned him. She said, "You must run away tonight and save your life. If you don't, you will be killed tomorrow." Then Michal let David down out of a window, and he escaped and ran away. Michal took the household god, put clothes on it, and put goat's hair on his head. Then she put the statue in the bed. Saul sent messengers to take David prisoner, but Michal said David is sick. The men went and told Saul, but he sent the messengers back to see David. Saul told these men, "Bring David to me. Bring him lying on his bed if you must, even if it kills him." The messengers went to David's house. They went inside to get him, but they saw it was only a statue, and that his hair was only goat's hair. Saul said to Michal, "Why did you trick me like this? You let my enemy escape, and now he is gone." Michal answered Saul, "David told me he would kill me if I didn't help him escape." David escaped and ran away to Samuel at Ramah. He told Samuel everything that Saul had done to him. Then David and Samuel went to the camps where the prophets stayed. David stayed there. Saul heard that David was there in the camps near Ramah, so he sent some men to arrest David. But when they came to the camps, there was a group of prophets prophesying. Samuel was standing there leading the group. The Spirit of God came on Samuel's messengers, and they began prophesying. Saul heard about this, so he sent other messengers, but they also began prophesying. So Saul sent messengers a third time, and they also began prophesying. Finally, Saul himself went to Ramah. Saul came to the big well by the threshing floor at Sicah. He asked, "Where are Samuel and David?" The people answered, "In the camps near Ramah." So Saul went out to the camps near Ramah. The Spirit of God came on Saul, and he also began prophesying. He prophesied all the way to the camps at Ramah. Saul even took off his clothes. He lay there naked all day through the night. So even Saul prophesied there in front of Samuel. That is why people say, "Is Saul also one of the prophets?" Thank you for joining A Day in the Word Bible in a Year series. Please subscribe, comment, like, and don't forget to turn on that notification bell. Until next time, Shalom.